It is once again a World Cup year and excitement is in the air. Hello, dear viewer, I'm Asa, and here's my evil opinion. Even though this may not be the party we're used to seeing, this World Cup will be the first to be played post-pandemic, the first to be played in the winter, and the first to be played in a Muslim nation where alcohol is prohibited and women can't dress however they like. And that's not even skimming the surface regarding why it's a terrible idea to host the world's most prestigious tournament in Qatar. With the World Cup draw happening on April 1st, I'd like to once again turn my attention to all the goings-on in world football. Because of COVID, what is usually a 3-year elimination process to come up with 32 teams has been reduced to a year and a half or so. And this will be the first time we're going to have a World Cup draw without knowing all of the teams that are going to participate. The intercontinental playoffs between the Asian and South American confederations and the Oceanian and North American confederations aren't happening until at least June 13th. And due to Russia and Ukraine, having a little tiff somewhere, we won't get the playoff between Scotland and Ukraine until June either. So we're only going to know 29 out of the 32 participants by the time of the draw. So let's look at what we have now and see if we can't guess how the draw will play out. There's going to be lots of scrambling for the last remaining spots starting March 24th that will determine how the tournament is shaped.
CONMEBOL eliminations.
Gonna start with my home confederation, the one that's had an unusual outcome. At the top of the list we have Brazil and Argentina, both of whom have unbeaten records and both of whom have assured the first and second tickets to World Cup in South America. Guess that's why no one's in a hurry to find out who will take the 3 points between them from the game that's already been postponed twice. Ecuador is in third currently with an iron grip on direct qualification. All they need is 1 point to ensure qualification, so their ticket to Qatar is all but guaranteed. They face an already eliminated and already weakened, demoralized Paraguay on the 24th, so it's not unrealistic to believe they can at least eke out a tie. I'd even go so far as to say they could win in Paraguay on spirit and hype alone. They've been the surprise of this elimination season, and there's probably no one left in the world that doubts right now that Ecuador will qualify now. Chile has had an uphill battle for qualification. Not only do they have the almost impossible task of beating Brazil in Brazil, something they've never been able to do in their entire history, but also something no team has managed to do during this elimination season. And even succeeding at that, they still face Uruguay next week in their final match. And Uruguay is a direct rival for qualification and will doubtless fight till the last second for that spot. Colombia has had a tremendous drop in form. They've been in a free fall since 2021, since September. They've not managed to put any goals in the net in their last 6 elimination matches.
Damn it, this always happens. I think I'm gonna score and then I never score. It's not fair. We've traveled 100 miles because we thought we were gonna score. But now it's not gonna happen. Damn it.
Hey, buddy, sit down.
Shut up, asswipe. I'm sick and tired of this. We're never gonna score. It's just not gonna happen. We're just gonna get old like these people. But they've probably scored.
Hey, I'm warning you. Sit down.
It's like this chick's a slut. And look at this guy. He's old, but he's probably scored 1,000,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
But not us. We're never gonna score. We're never gonna score.
And yet, there is a weird hope here. Bolivia has been statistically the worst CONMEBOL team when it comes to away matches. So which force is greater, Colombia's goal curse or Bolivia's away curse? Or are they both so cursed that this could end up in a 0-0 tie? That would be tragic! But football tends to have a sense of humor, so a draw would not surprise me at this point in time. Lastly, we have 2 teams that are very much still alive and who will have the determining match of this week in CONMEBOL eliminations. The outcome of this match could very well decide the whole thing. Uruguay versus Peru. Possibly the toughest game to predict. You have two teams teetering on the edge of qualification or elimination. Uruguay went from having a terrible season to sacking their coach and restructuring and rebuilding in their last two games, which put them back on the map, oddly enough. And Peru climbed from the very abyss of next to last place and have eked out an impressive win against the crumbling Colombia, giving every Peruvian on the planet hope. It's hard to say what's going to happen in Montevideo, but one thing is for sure, neither team want a tie, as a tie would only help their rivals Colombia and Chile and gives them a chance to catch up. Both teams here are expected to get out there and do or die on the 24th. The winner is all but assured qualification. Personally, I don't care too much for today's decrepit and decaying Uruguay, a squad that's looked pretty much exactly the same for the last decade at least. And I would love to see Peru pull off an upset. So that's what I'll bet on. This isn't an easy bet to make though. Uruguay still now at this point, even at their weakest, has a ridiculously potent attack, even if their defense is no good. One thing is for sure, this is definitely going to be an entertaining match. And Argentina versus Venezuela. Yep, irrelevant game. Practice match for both. Argentina's already qualified, Venezuela's already eliminated. Nothing to say here. My beloved Albiceleste only need to keep the gravy train rolling and keep that undefeated streak alive. Alright, so my insane predictions are in. Keep in mind, I also predicted against all odds that Germany would get eliminated in group stage because I believed in the champion's curse in 2018 when nobody else did. And probably the only place you're going to hear it is right here. I'm probably going to be the only one saying this. Germany will be eliminated in group stage. I also predicted France to reach the final in 2018 at a time when everybody boringly said that the final would be Brazil versus Germany. So, assuming my results happen this way, which they likely won't, nobody can predict every game in one sitting, we arrive at the last date next week with an already qualified Ecuador and an already eliminated Colombia. The match to look out for then will be Uruguay versus Chile. Both will be desperate for the win here as well, and it all depends on how each team arrives. I mean, if Chile were to happen to win against Brazil, and Uruguay were to happen to lose against Peru next week, you can expect the momentum to be a deciding factor. A demoralized Uruguay would likely fall prey to a vitalized Chile playing at home for all the marbles. However, in my prediction, Chile loses to Brazil and Peru squeezes out a tough victory in Montevideo. So I assume a tie would be very likely between Chile and Uruguay. A very hard-fought tie, mind you. Peru would easily trounce Paraguay playing for nothing in Lima. Colombia would ironically finally win a game with all that pressure of qualification off their shoulders. I think they could finally win. Brazil and Bolivia playing for nothing in La Paz, possibly one of the most boring games yet to come. Same can be said for Ecuador versus Argentina, since both are already comfortably qualified. No reason for them to bother to damage one another. However, Argentina, even playing at half speed, has demonstrated, as they've frequently done, that even only playing one half with effort and then relaxing the second half, we can still squeeze out a victory half the time. So my qualified teams in South America are Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, with Uruguay to go off to the playoffs in June. Let's get this over with. The only real surprise of this qualification season has been the triumphant return of Canada, a team that somehow remembered how to play soccer. And it's almost inexplicably undefeated at the top of the caca heap that is CONCACAF. I don't see any of these standings changing from here to next week. It's gonna be Canada, USA, and Mexico qualifying, with Panama going to the playoff against Oceania in June. Ho hum. And I'm only basing that on the fact that Panama has had an easier time scoring lately than Costa Rica does. Otherwise, I'd totally put them through. I mean, both of them have to face USA and Canada each, and I don't see either of them being able to win those games. However, Panama can at least possibly score a goal. Moving along. CAF. The African Confederation has to be the absolute toughest to predict. On Friday, the first half of the 5 home and away matches happens to determine Africa's 5 entrants to World Cup, and on Tuesday the 29th we have the second half. Egypt faces off against Senegal, Cameroon meets Algeria, Ghana fights against Nigeria, Democratic Republic of Congo fights off against Morocco, and Mali has Tunisia as their rival. Now, I would like to see at least one new face at World Cup not named Qatar, so I'll be hoping that Mali can defeat Tunisia. Tunisia has had a considerably tougher time in group stage than Mali did. Mali destroyed their group of Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda, whereas Tunisia had a few hiccups, losing to Equatorial Guinea and barely managing a 0-0 draw against nothing Team Mauritania. Democratic Congo hasn't been to World Cup since 1974, so that'd be interesting to see again, but it's difficult to think they could beat Morocco, especially since Congo had a hard time making it out of a group containing Benin, Tanzania, and Madagascar, all irrelevant nobody teams in the soccer world, whereas Morocco had an easier time destroying their group. The biggest matches here will be Nigeria versus Ghana and Senegal versus Egypt, 4 giants of African football, and only 2 of them get to go to World Cup. Nigeria is one of those teams you always expect to see at World Cup, usually drawn with Argentina, so we can't break that tradition, although both Nigeria and Ghana had a rather tough time getting here to begin with. Egypt has a curious history against Senegal. In the early days, they always dominated Senegal, but in more recent years, Senegal has been something of a boogeyman for them, defeating them in their last 3 African Cup of Nations encounters. Therefore, I'm betting on Senegal for now. As for Algeria versus Cameroon, let's just go with Algeria. Both had a similar journey in group stage, but I just don't want to have to confuse the Senegalese flag with the Cameroon one. AFC. Asia's Confederation is a tale of 2 groups. One has been decided already some time ago, and the other one is in serious contention. Group A, no problem. Iran and South Korea qualified with almost no problems a long time ago. The United Arab Emirates awaits the 3rd placer in Group B for the AFC playoff. That is, unless Lebanon somehow manages miracle victories against Iran and Syria, which I doubt. Group B is wide open. Saudi Arabia lead, but they still have China and Australia to face. Japan is in 2nd place with 18 points, with Australia and Vietnam left, and Australia is in 3rd with Japan and Saudi Arabia, both direct rivals left to play. Tough group. Oman, China, and Vietnam have no chance now. It's just a fight for who doesn't get 3rd place out of the 3 remainders. The Aussies have the best goal difference, but they tied at home against the Saudis and lost 2-1 in Japan. Now, Japan doesn't find the goal much, but they do manage to keep from getting scored on. They conceded only 3 goals, one of which was Australia's, however. Australia get the home advantage when they face Japan, and I believe they are capable of beating them. The question is, can Australia defeat Saudi Arabia in Saudi Arabia? Because if they don't, then it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Australia will have to go to the playoff spot. At home, they tied 0-0 with the Saudis, and the Saudis, much like Japan, are very difficult to score on. Saudi Arabia will beat China easily, and likewise, Japan has no threat in Vietnam. Each will take those 3 points all but guaranteed. But nothing is written in football, and I think the Socceroos are capable of beating Saudi Arabia and are capable of relegating Japan to the AFC playoff spot. Japan could easily beat the United Arab Emirates and take the intercontinental playoff spot against Uruguay. Japan will then proceed to choke like they did in Russia 2018 when they gave up a 2-0 lead to Belgium. This ain't Captain Tsubasa, and Uruguay is not an easy foe when it is cornered. Then again, I believe that even if it were Australia, the result would still be the same. Uruguay is not losing that playoff spot against AFC in a million years. Oceania, let's not kid ourselves, it's going to be New Zealand. Can Panama beat? So in June, Panama qualifies to the World Cup. UEFA. I left Europe for last because there's a lot of stuff to talk about here, from the ridiculous politics that should never, ever be mixed with sports, but well, we can't seem to help it. Just look at the Olympics. Okay, so 24th of March, we're going to get Wales versus Austria, and the winner has to wait until June for the winner of Scotland versus Ukraine, assuming Ukraine even still has a team by then. The World Cup draw will then be decided without this team being decided. Utterly ridiculous. Even more ridiculous, Poland has been gifted a free spot to the March 29th match against whoever wins out of Sweden and the Czech Republic, because FIFA banned Russia from the game. Thanks to Poland and their whining, they managed to get an unfair sporting advantage. Not only do they get to be the host nation for the playoff spot, but they also get to play a rested team against whoever wins out of Sweden and the Czech Republic. Needless to say, I'll be rooting for the other guy. Here's hoping the gods in Valhalla can give Sweden all their blessings. Now, the real fun playoff is the one in which Portugal and Italy could both theoretically be left out of World Cup. Turkey has a very real shot at beating Portugal, even though Portugal has home field advantage. This being Portugal and Ronaldo having his last shot at World Cup glory, I cannot see the referees making it easy on Turkey. Portugal it is. So then you have Italy versus North Macedonia. Okay, so Portugal versus Italy. So are we seriously going to go 2 World Cups in a row without Italy? The same Italy that just recently won Euro Cup in 2021? The same Italy that has 4 World Cup trophies in their cabinet? I think at some point, the famous Forza Azzurra is going to kick in, drive that history, that need to defend their national pride, and they'll make a victory out of what I believe will be one of the most interesting matches leading up to World Cup. If Italy wins against Portugal, expect them to be a threat in Qatar. This is the kind of adversity that tends to create champions. So anyhow, those are my predictions so far. Probably going to get at least half right and half wrong, I imagine. What do you think? Are we looking at the 32 qualified teams right here? Or do you think otherwise? Leave a comment with your opinion. As a crazy football nut, I would love to hear your predictions too. For now, I'm excited for this action-packed Thursday. Till next time, dear viewer.